This car is just gorgeous. The best part of owning a Challenger. Well, that's a weird looking 340. I am shocked and appalled. Look, it's a metaphor. You ever put your hand in one of these? Don't worry about it. That's bad. No one called the fire department. Everything's fine. What do you think about all this, Prudence? You always say that. Today on Dodge Garage, we're driving Austin's 71 Dodge Challenger. It's the latest project here at Rocket Restorations. This isn't your average beautiful red with black interior, lumpy hood, pistol grip shifted V8 muscly sounding Challenger either. It's special. I'll give you a hint. It's the kind of thing they drive in Fast and Furious. Take it easy for now. I don't know if you can tell, the accelerator pump fueling is a little... Now we could fix that. We're going to solve that problem a different way. This car is just gorgeous. And it's got all the cool add-on things too. Right away, the words Willwood 6-piston kind of jump right out at you from behind the front wheels there. But don't worry, they've got friends in the back too. If you know Challengers, you know this hood molding is quite rare. It's really nice too. Now don't be fooled by the hood. It says 344 barrel, but that's not quite correct. If you know these cars, you know these lights and these hoods don't really go together because they're impossible to see. That's a bit of a clue here. Now, I'm not going to say this car is perfect. It's not. But it's really good. It's gorgeous. I actually have a little bit of personal history with this car. It came from Aberdeen, where I live. It now lives in Seattle, although currently, of course, it's in Olympia for us to work on it. My brother actually has the wheels that came off of this car. Centerlines, I believe. Here's the 71 only tail panel. And look at that spoiler. I love this. And of course, the best part of owning a Challenger, the flip top cap. This car's definitely been repainted. It sure presents well. I don't see any bubbles. I don't see any scratches or dings. It's very, very well cared for. It's got a rumble bee. You can't really see it because the window's tinted, but how awesome is that? I'm not gonna spend all day beating the horse, I'm just saying. This thing's cool. Now I have to pick which e-body's my favorite. This thing or that dark blue Cuda? Oh, don't mind the missing antenna. We had to put a car cover on this thing. Oh, look, it's the most annoying noise in the world, and it works! As you can see, the interior is in just as nice a shape as the exterior. Except the missing gauges, of course. And a little bit of dust. Well, here's an interesting upgrade. It actually has retracting seat belts. Okay, I've drooled over it enough. Let's look under the hood. Well, that's a weird looking 340. If you know me, you know I'm a huge cheerleader for the Magnum engine, and that's what we're looking at here. Well, obviously. This is a Magnum 360, or 5.9 liter. If you don't know much about this engine series, I actually have an entire playlist on it. But the basics, it's a fuel-injected version of the older LA engine. Chrysler used this mostly in Dodge trucks, also vans, from 1993 until about 2003. It's based on the LA architecture, so the bottom end, almost exactly the same. It uses the same engine mounts, although there are also more modern mounts on the side of the block for those trucks. The heads are where the main differences are. They're a closed chamber with much better ports and just better engineering in general. These engines can chuck out 400 horsepower with very little encouragement. They really are a great platform, and they're so easy to put in these cars. You can actually dress them up with old school valve covers and accessories, as was partially done here, and make it look like an old LA engine. That's pretty cool. Stealthy swap, you know. This particular Magnum was actually a crate engine from Chrysler in the early to mid 2000s, I believe. Not totally sure on those details, but it's supposed to put out about 375 horse, if I remember correctly. It's based on that same factory truck engine, but obviously Chrysler recognized the performance potential and that people would want to put them in old cars like this. You can see here it's equipped with a Mopar M1 intake manifold. Also that it leaks antifreeze from the thermostat housing, which is normal. I mean, just about every LA engine does that, so why wouldn't this one? A quick glance around this engine compartment reveals there is all kinds of good stuff going on. Borgeson steering box, a line lock, a Willwood master cylinder to match those brakes, hand adjustable proportioning valve. Interestingly enough, it is actually detailed with factory type hoses and clamps. There are some nice factory style touches. The restored wiper motor is one, and that factory looking electronic voltage regulator over there. If you do look closely at the engine compartment, you'll notice the paintwork is not amazing. That's actually one of the things it's at Rocket to fix. But that's not the big project. You see, Austin, the owner of the car, is also a big Magnum fan, but he wants a little more scoot out of this thing. And he's already got a modern style 6-speed, so he has some different ideas for what to put in front of it. So, this beautiful red 71 Challenger, it's going to be our first modern Hemi swap. I love the Magnum for the budget aspect. You can pluck one of these engines out of a truck and drop it in a car like this for like $600. It bolts to your stock mounts. You just have to figure out accessories, fuel pump. This car does have an electric fuel pump, and some little things like that. But it's so easy, and it's so cheap. The Hemi is not cheap. What it is spunky. And Austin has spared no expense in getting all of the correct swap parts to make the swap not only easy, but nice and fun. He clearly loves this thing, and I'm very excited to be involved with the project. But before we rip it apart, I thought I'd take it for a test drive, you know, for a bit of a baseline. Let's see what it's like now. I'll be very interested to see the difference in performance from the Magnum to the Hemi. If you know E-bodies and the 70s B-bodies that are built on the same basic platform, you know hood hinges are, well, kind of a problem. And this car is no exception in that department, so these are actually going to get rebuilt and restored. I don't remember what company's doing that, but I know they're really good at it. In the meantime, there's a bit of a trick to getting the hood closed. You gotta do the shove in and then, there you go. And it still doesn't sit right. It's exactly the same as my 72 Satellite. Fun fact, those hood hinges are almost exactly the same as later Dodge trucks. I think there are some slight differences. It's interesting they don't wear out on the trucks like they do on these. I don't know how to explain that. Heavier hood, maybe. I'm personally hoping we're gonna get to put a badge there that says 392 Hemi, or something like that. The Willwood disc brakes are not the only nice performance handling part on this car. It's actually got all of them. It's got boxed lower control arms. That's a nice upgrade. firms them up quite a bit. It's got Bilstein shocks. It's got tubular upper control arms. I've never put these fancy adjustable strut rods on a car. Those are pretty cool. And of course, it's got a humongous tubular sway bar. That's essential. Unlike another car I took a look at recently, which you'll see on the channel soon, this thing still has a normal looking Chrysler 8 3/4 axle. And of course, the matching rear sway bar. It's also got factory exhaust tips. Yeah, those are cool. And they're fed by full 3-inch exhaust. Oh man, this thing's gonna sound gnarly with the 392. The fuel tank might be the ugliest thing under this car. And that's fine, because it's getting a new one, specifically built for EFI. I have noticed the Magnum's a little ticky. I wonder if that's part of the inspiration for replacing it. We didn't really discuss that part. He actually said he might like to put it in a truck or another car. If he decides against that, yeah, it might find its way into some of mine. We'll see. Oh, notice the e-brake warning still works, even with the gauges out. Reverse is a little tricky to find, actually. Nope. What the heck? Yeah, it's like all the way over. Just a little annoying. Probably on purpose. You know, you'd hate to hit that on accident. I used to own a Challenger. Of course, mine was nowhere near as nice as this one. But it was a fun car to drive. I've never even seen one set up like this, though. I'd really like to see how it goes around a corner. I don't think Austin would mind. We definitely can't beat on it or anything. He does watch my videos. It's a Holly Street Avenger carburetor. Other than the accelerator box, it runs great. Oh, we'll have to tighten up the pistol grips and move around a little bit. Everything over on that side is kind of hard to track down. Sure drives nicely. That Borgeson box is tight. Here is not your average muscle car. It's a handling machine. Just imagine it with Hemi power. I certainly can't say the Magnum's bad though. Listen to that. Muscle cars over the years. This is about the best. And it still rides nice. Even in a stock E-body, I'm always impressed by how they drive. Like that yellow Cuda a few weeks ago. You know, it's restored, just factory stuff, nothing special, and it drives sweet. But this thing, yeah, that's cool. Carves the corners. this shifter. For some reason, 5th is way off in right field, but then 6th is almost right next to 4th, and reverse, you can't even find that. You know, little things. Still weird driving around without gauges. Although I did do this in my Cobra for a while. Man, the accelerator pump tuning is kind of making me itchy, and I'd love to fix it, but there's just no point. I mean, this engine will be out of here Tuesday, maybe. Today being Thursday. Kind of funny, there's been a gigantic bus parked here for like a month, and I only just noticed it's gone. Ah. Well, I hope you guys like this car. You better get used to seeing it because, well, there's gonna be a lot of stuff. I mean, Hemi swap, swapping all that suspension over to the new K-frame, piecing it all together. I'll show you the pile of parts and you'll know exactly how to do it, if you want. Big thanks to Austin for, well, first off, letting me work on this thing, bringing this to Rocket, trusting us to do it right. For being cool, for doing the research, ordering all the parts, and making this a pretty easy job. And for buying one of the first Dead Dodge Garage shirts. Hey, did you guys know I have merch now? Check it out at deaddodgegarage.com. Click the button that says merch. Ah, what a beautiful day. Great day to take this thing for a drive. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Thank you very much for watching, and look forward to more videos on this soon.